Now as your garden spreads out, you still can go vertical. And as your vining plants spread out across the bottom of your garden, going vertical allows you to get much more food in a small area. And of course, by going vertical, you got all kind of growing space. I mean, we're harvesting beans well above my head, cherry tomatoes too. Anytime you can go vertical, you're going to increase your growing area. You're going to increase your harvest. You have your fall crops in, you want to make sure your trellises keep coming up. Let's go vertical. These peas were planted not very long ago. We want to make sure they still have something to hang on to. We started off with 2 strings, and that gave them something to grab onto to begin with. But now they're starting to get big enough, I don't want them to fall over. As they get just a little bigger, they'll have something to hold on to. And right now, we're in the hottest part of the summer. And you want to make sure that your young seedlings stay good and moist. You take care of your seedlings now, and you ought to have a nice fall harvest. Let's go look at this other line that we just planted and see if we need to get a string on them. And you can do this too. Even though it's the hottest part of the summer, we're going to continue to plant. We've got to be thinking about what we want to harvest for fall. Our peas are going to be a really nice fall harvest. But these peas are definitely going to need their second line. And as you can see, our next batch of corn's doing okay. We got a squash that's coming up on its own, and our basil is thriving. And it's just very simple. You just tie a knot on one end and stretch it out to the other side. And keep it as tight as you can. And the more vertical space you can use, the better off you're going to be. We've increased our growing area quite a bit by going vertical. Especially in this hot, hot weather, make sure you got plenty of moisture on them. We've mulched back a little bit. They need to get a little bigger. And of course, some things just grow vertically on their own. You know, in some countries, this would be considered a weed, but in some countries, it's good fodder. This is an amaranth. You can eat every part of this plant. And you want to talk about going vertical. This thing came up on its own, so did that one, so did that one. All of these did. And it's just now starting to grow. It's going to get really tall. I'm going to have to stake this or it's going to fall over. And then it's going to reseed, kind of like it did last year. And once these volunteers start to flower, we're going to be able to get a lot of amaranth grain out of them. But that's the fun in the Chaos Garden. And speaking of the Chaos Garden, we do have purple beans that have come up. We got corn. I do have a couple beets and carrots throughout here, but I'll show you what I've been fighting. Now these are blister beetles, so I don't really want to crush them. And you were out here with me on Saturday when we were picking beans. And I had one right here that wasn't quite ready. And then these 2 came on. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that one. That one is beautiful. But I also got another one over here. And these purple beans, these long purple beans have a really nutty taste. And it really adds to your green beans if you like that. Oh man, I need to get some kind of container. I got beans everywhere in here. Now for your beans, if you want them to keep producing, you keep picking. And as it cools off, they're really gonna start kicking in. They've given us quite a few beans already. And I can't wait till the fall. You know the hardest work you ever do in a deep mulch garden? And that's harvest. It's amazing just how big this fruit gets on some of these naturally climbing vines. But when you get stuff this big, it's a good idea to give it some kind of help, give it some kind of support. And we've got cradles on these 2. And the beans and the loofah really like to climb on a trellis. But even your peppers, if you give them some support, they'll be able to fruit out a lot better. I mean, they naturally grow up, but they're gonna wanna fall over. Look at that. The reapers are coming on. Oh, we got some orange scorpions down in there. And we got a couple really nice ghost peppers that are really red. Go ahead and see what this one tastes like. Oh. That'll smell hit you right off the bat, and that is warm. The ghost pepper has a really sweet taste to start with, but it will light you up. When you're figuring out what you want to plant, think about what trellises really well. Our cucumbers like to trellis, pole beans like to trellis, the peas like to trellis. Back here we've got grapes on the trellis, and that allows the squashes to spread out. I think that squash is going to double by tomorrow. I think I'll go ahead and leave that on here. And then sneak it in between your vine and plants. You can have rows of root crops. Maximize the area you have. Grow what you like to eat. These peppers are wonderful. The green beans, they're kicking back in. They're going to be a nice fall harvest. And our trellis tomatoes, they've got tons of blooms on them. They're going to put in a lot of fruit between now and November. You can do this too. Until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant. Let's go plant garden.